Hi, Andy. Thanks for joining us.
No worries.
Yeah, so look, really kind of you to, give us your time. Just really wanted to find out a bit about who you are.
Comedian since childhood, but also an abuse survivor from childhood as well. I was an abuse victim for just about 40 years, 35 years probably. And the thing that's helped me survive is my ability to find a positive in any situation. I wasn't very well educated when I was at primary school and high school, but I got a degree with a distinction average and got into honours as well. And that was with undiagnosed ADHD and complex PTSD.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing is I never hurt anything. Like I let blowflies out, I let spiders out. I teach my dog that as well. So yeah. And I think that, the fact that I can still find positives in life is pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm really interested to hear about your humour. You say you've, used humour since childhood. And I mean, that sounds like a great way of coping. Just wonder if you could sort of let us know a bit more about that.
Well, my first memory is getting a laugh, and that was when I was 2, and I was pulling a girl's hair and everyone laughed at it. And then I did it 2 more times, and by the 3rd time, people weren't laughing. So I learned at 2, you only tell a joke 3 times. Yeah. And but the next memory that I have is of trauma and of abuse that I received as a kid. So if those memories were in opposite order, probably wouldn't be talking to you right now. Yeah. But that I used to play a game at school. I used to really shit my friends, but it's the best thing about where you think of any really bad situation and you name a positive. That my life has never been about getting the 100% happiness with everything I do.
Yeah.
It's like 5 and 10% bits that add up.
Yeah.
But the comedy, when my mum died, that's when it went into overdrive, because it was a really good way to deflect the audience's attention from my pain. And that if people think with comedy that like the comedian who's making them happy is therefore happy themselves, which is not always the case. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's often not the case from my sort of understanding. I think, humour can be, an amazing mechanism, as you say, to, maybe avoid your pain or at least manage it. And
Yeah, and like I'd say to psych ward staff, when my jokes are good, I'm ready to go.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
Okay. Don't look at my blood pressure or anything, just
Okay. So you've got your own gauge.
Yeah.
What else has helped you along the way?
The first 7 years with my mum, that she taught me so much in that 7 years. Like everything that I've survived, I've come, like no one comes through that sort of stuff completely untouched and unaffected. But I still consider myself unaffected, really, because like I never chose that path of the people hurting me. No. And there's been a lot, and there's never a point, probably I can pinpoint it to when I was 6 and watching my dad watch the cricket, Viv Richards, and he was swearing at the TV and being racist. And he was doing this habit where he pushed his hand in his lip, and which he still does. And I tried it, and within 10 seconds, I thought, I do not want to be like this person. Okay. So yeah, it's to never even think about hurting someone. It's resilience. But like people have always said that I'm resilient. I'm like, it's only now at 41 that I believe it.
Yeah. So what was your path in terms of, being able to hold on to the positive for those 41 years when you weren't believing it?
Yeah, it's like a game, like that, that's like not like the game I was mentioning before, but like a thing that I do now is I look for the color red when I need to calm down. When I see the red, the anxiety goes down. It was kind of like the cartoon where you've got the angel on one shoulder and the devil on the other. And it's like, which do you believe? Or not believe, but which do you listen to? Mm-hmm. And for 41 years or for 40 years, it was the devil was still knocking on the door. But now that's gone, and it's just like me and the angel on the other side. There must have been some part of me that still believed. I mean, I always knew I was a good person.
Yeah.
But there was, and it didn't matter how many people said, "Oh, you're great, you're funny," or whatever. I'd go home and I'd be with my abusive father, who'd has never laughed at one of my jokes, and it's amazing to me even now to hear myself say it, but like for the first 26 years, I was getting abused everywhere, at school, at home, playing sport. There was no break. So that this COVID experience has allowed me to confront all of that, and I'm happier than I ever have been. So yeah, it's honestly something I've had since birth. I don't think to myself about hypotheticals of what if mum hadn't died, or what if dad wasn't like he was. It's something you're born with, like the sense of humour. I've always done it. Yeah, like even before mum got sick, I knew when she was dying, and that my sister and my dad really didn't give to, care about her, and that I had to knuckle down. Yeah, I knew what I was in for, but it's like the Captain America shield. That's what I describe it to people as. Whenever venom and hate and someone's trying to hurt you, even if you imagine that, it just deflects. It doesn't actually register, because there's aggression and hate everywhere. And for 41 years, it was hurting me just hearing it. So the fact is now it's just like, no, gone, or it passes through me, sort of thing. So
yeah. So how has COVID, and I'm assuming you mean, being in lockdown or relative lockdown, actually giving you the time and space to, I suppose move even further forward? Because you've obviously always had a lot of strength.
Yeah.
And something inside you. Yeah.
Yeah, look, it's it's been the end of last year and the start of this year where things changed. Where I was admitted to hospital in December, excuse me, and I could pinpoint the spot on the floor where I was walking, and I thought, I cannot protect abusers anymore. Like, I know that coming forward and telling my story is going to upset them especially, but others who know them. And it's possibly going to hurt me in some way, but I'm not doing this anymore. Like, I should never have ended up in that situation. So this year has been about, compared to last year, like, this lockdown's easy for me because I'm not carrying that baggage of hate. And even the psychologist I saw last year, horrible experience. Wouldn't want anyone to experience that. But this year it's been like I had a new psychologist and I didn't like her, so I moved to someone else. And having EMDR, which is this brilliant treatment or therapy that allows your brain to process trauma while you're awake, like REM sleep. And that saved my life. And my dog, Blue Knot, again, brilliant. And I feel the biggest thing for me this year has been being believed, because there's so much stuff. And I said to a support worker, it's like Lewis Carroll dropped acid and wrote a nursery rhyme. It's I couldn't write it like as a comedian, like, or as a creative person.
Yeah.
But I really suggest for anyone, whether they've experienced my level of trauma or not, just gradually get rid of that shit and get rid of the people who are hurting you. It doesn't, if it's your father or your sister or your friend at school, no one should put up with that shit. And that's what's made this journey easier, because I don't have their poison words in the head. So yeah.
As you say, I mean, we a lot of survivors that we speak to, being believed is just so absolutely critical. So without sort of naming names, what was it about the different psychologists or psychiatric care that you experienced that you found really helped you on your journey?
It was so doctors and nurses and everyone that I had in hospital that really started the process, because when I was admitted, I told them everything, and they said, how long, have you ever told that to anyone? I said, no. And they said, that's a long time to hold on to it. And I said, I know. And, it's, look, I've been I mean, we'd have to do a 2-day podcast of what I've been through. It's particularly my experience last year with the psychologist, where I was terrified to come forward, and I thought they'd believe her rather than me. And but no one, like amount of times I called Lifeline or Beyond Blue or whoever, and Blue Knot, no one said to me, your story's not valid. And that's to be heard, know it's valid and believed, because again, no one would walk around telling the stuff I do unless it happened. But like it's a priceless thing, like, because it's like to the point with this EMDR therapy as well, that I can think about this stuff and not be traumatized by it. So honest, and for me, like the start of this year, I'm thinking surely there's someone else who's been through something like this, and like we've been on the planet for what, millions of years. There's treatment for this. It's just that I don't know about it. So you always, and you always ask for help, and don't expect the first person you tell or you ask for help to help you. I found that out the hard way last year. It's so much.
I suppose it's sort of hanging on in there and having the hope that there is some path or someone out there who can help.
Exactly. And like that, if you're sleeping, you all you do is go to sleep and wake up and there's 8 hours gone. For me, when I was 6, that was when the nightmares started, and they didn't stop until this year. So I'm really happy to have 8 hours break a day, regardless of what happens. So
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Just to give the mind a rest, and I suppose to calm your nervous system. So you talked about seeing the red color. What else helps you to sort of keep calm and sort of take the temperature down a bit?
It's every moment I spend with my dog.
Okay.
She's not a therapy or assistance dog, but she's pretty near close. And every time she's good or naughty, I say thanks, because it helps me learn how to deal with things. And she introduces me to people. Like social anxiety just goes away. Breathing definitely helps. Grounding objects like that. I have like these like rolling cylinders that help. Basically doing something with my hands really helps the anxiety. And to like this Lisa Simpson thing from The Simpsons, trust in yourself and you can achieve anything. And like knowing that my mum and grandma, who have long gone, are proud of me. So
that's pretty special, and pretty amazing that you've been able to hold on to that, because it's all about, I think, just that sense of safety in yourself, and as you say, believing in yourself. But when other people are validating it externally, absolutely. I mean, we obviously recording this for Blue Knot Day, and our theme is about building a trauma-informed world, or trauma-informed community. Can I ask what that means to you?
It's because trauma is mostly not visible, unless you've got, even if you had a broken leg or a cut or a bruise. People, I know that in my own life, people don't come up to me and go, "Where'd you get that bruise? How did that happen?" It's just assumed. But if you have a black eye, it's probably different. But it's like that whole, when you see on TV, Twitter, get the conversation started. The conversation starts now, because you can't hide this stuff. It's even for me, like with my own family, it's becoming more widely known the more I speak about it. It's words. That's all you got to do. It's not knowing that you even have a community, that you're not the only one. That's so helpful for me even now, because even like I said, an organisation like Blue Knot, which I didn't know about until December of last year, and I Googled it, and because my whole life I was made to feel either stupid, because I'm mentally ill, or no friends, no workmates, whatever. But this is something that connects me, but it's something that shouldn't, because it shouldn't have to happen.
Absolutely. I mean, but I suppose you've found your own path to connection, and so I think you've frozen. Sorry, we've just lost you for a minute. The joys of the internet.
Yeah, sorry, I think it's my internet. It's done it a couple of times in the last week. Sorry.
No, that's okay. That's okay. Yeah, I suppose, talking more about trauma-informed community, it's about, finding a sense of safety and building trust. How do you, there'd be a number of survivors listening to this. What would you say to them about, how to find the sense of trust when you've been so hurt and betrayed, and how to feel safe?
I would say perhaps talk to a stranger, but not about the trauma, but just sort of the way I would always do it was kind of like dangle the bait and go, here's some small issue. If you trust me enough for me to tell you, and I don't go in to any conversation with anyone and say my dad used to hit me as a child. But it's like step ladders, and if you can build trust with a stranger, like someone, whether it's Lifeline, Beyond Blue Knot, or anybody, they're paid to listen and to talk. But the trust issues I had in my life were brought about by my abusive father. And like I said, it took me 41 years to overcome that. I would say don't let that happen to you. Even if you're 40, don't let it be to 41. There are good people out there. It's like going for a swim in the ocean. Not all the fish are going to eat you. Probably most of them aren't. And but if you go to the beach and you're worried about that one type of fish that's going to hurt you, that's not the way to be.
Yeah, I love that that metaphor. That's fantastic. I really love it. And yeah, I must say, talking about your dog, I mean, just that unconditional love, and I suppose that's what the dog is maybe giving you. What you did obviously receive from your mum and grandma, but sort of reinforcing that. How do you think everyone can contribute to building a trauma-informed community?
Start talking. Yeah, because the thing for me for 41 years or 40 years was worried that they'd be hurt by my pain. Yeah. But even me telling someone like about my father, that doesn't give them an eating disorder. It lets them hear about it. Because with pain and hearing about pain, it's not meant to make anyone feel good, but it can change things. So if I had have stayed silent for another 20 years, I don't think I would live that long. So don't worry about triggering someone who perhaps hasn't even had a lived experience of abuse. But even if they do, we know how to talk about these things. It's just that we stop ourselves. That there's horrible times in history that there was no helplines and people still spoke. Yeah. So start talking. If you talk to someone, anybody, whether it's a friend or someone you just met, and they're turned off and don't want to talk to you, they're just one of those fish in the sea. Like, there's billions of people in the world. Don't base your happiness on one person. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, where are you at now in terms of your comedy career? And you said you had a degree. I'm just wondering, what does it, are you planning for something in the future? What do your plans look like? Well, my show for the next year's comedy festival is pretty much in my head now. Yeah. It's I will focus on the last 4 years rather than the last 41, but it's because it's just, some of it is just so laughable, some of it is so incredibly serious that you wouldn't joke about. But I'll be hopefully doing honours next year. My head is clear. It's that there's no, my God, my father's voice isn't in my head. It's just me. So it's really, really nice to just be down to one person. So I'll be studying next year, comedy next year. As soon as it's legal, I'll be performing. And it's I do improv comedy, so it's I just talk for 2 hours and walk off. That's about it.
That's pretty amazing. Yeah. I mean, it sounds like you've really come an incredible way. and it's just
Yeah.
fantastic to hear. I mean,
Yeah.
is there something else you'd like to share with us? And
I just, one thing I like to say is there's no excuse for abuse. So
Yeah.
it doesn't matter who it is. You know, a title doesn't mean you're a good one, whether it's doctor or father, sister, whatever.
Yeah, totally.
And no one should have to put up with that, you know, and it's good people that do, because we don't want to hurt people.
Yeah, and I'm interested to hear just your view, you know, so you know, it'd be quite easy to be, you know, bitter and angry and hateful.
Yeah.
After an experience such as yours. What do you think has meant that you are someone who, you know, won't hurt a fly, literally?
Yeah.
And, you know, really just does care about others. I'm just wondering what you think has enabled that.
Yeah, I still see anger as a choice, and it's definitely a choice as to what you do when you get angry.
Yeah.
And there's no, look, the way I teach my dog is, if she does the wrong thing, I let her know it's wrong, and I say, you did the wrong thing. If you do it again, it's on you, it's your choice. I see that as certain types of abuse are like that, where you might not know that those words hurt someone, but once you do know, you don't do it again.
Yeah.
For me, it's never been a choice. Like, I don't get to the stage where I choose to hit my dad or not hit my dad.
Yeah.
If you can block that and not even get to that first step, life's really easy.
Yeah.
Like, it's, yeah, then because basically, like, for stand-up, when I'm about to go on, I'm as calm as I'll ever be. It's kind of like tricking your brain into instead of going up, to just go down. It's like that opposite that was what would normally happen. Yeah, I mean, again, I could go on for hours on that one, but like, it could be as simple as training your brain, like I have with the color, or there's something you can use. It takes time, but like, I've always been like that, you know. The other thing for me is, which is helpful, is use comedy to attack people. When I was in high school as a kid, kicking my school bag, pushing me around, I got in trouble for it, even though I'd done nothing. But I got inside, it was geography, and I wrote limericks about that kid. And everybody in the class laughed at him, and he apologized.
Yeah.
So you can change minds through comedy.
Yeah.
You can go to jail through abuse.
Yeah.
So it's how you deal with the situation.
Yeah. I mean, that's, yeah. I mean, that makes a lot of sense to me. Yeah. Yeah. But that's been wonderful, Andy. You know, really appreciate your time, and you know, it's just great to get to know you a little bit. Yeah, and look forward to seeing your shows and seeing your name up there in lights, and hopefully the world opening up. So
I know, yeah, and
must be hard to be a performer and not be able to perform that much.
It does, but like, my dog likes hearing my jokes on our walks. So.
You've got the dog, the best dog in the world, with the best sense of humour, by the sound of it. So, you know,
I just tell. Yeah, exactly. But I just want to say thank you to you and Blue Knot, because you were the first guys who I told about my story, and yeah, it was really changed my life. So thank you.
Oh, that's really, you know, and look, you know, it's just been wonderful to meet you and hear that and know that, and you know, that's the work we want to do, and it's great to see that, you know, you're on a path now that sounds, you know, just you know, starting to be some of what you deserved. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
Okay.